Jay, this first topic's right up your alley because we're going to talk about some expectations for guys who are playing an expanded role. But before we do that, a quick word from FanDuel. Even as the weather gets colder and the NFL season nears its end, there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, for new customers. The app is easy to use, and they have so many different ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explorer tab. You can make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, which is the best way to find popular parlays, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And let's give a shout-out to Matt Kolker for today's winning ticket. This comes our last ticket from Thursday Night Football last week, but Matt hit a 12-part same-game parlay, turned $10 into $700, $698 to be exact, with a 12-part same-game parlay on the Browns win over the Jets. A couple of the ones he hit on were Njoku over 40 receiving yards, Breece Hall over 25 receiving yards, Joe Flacco over a passing touchdown, Breece Hall over 40 rushing yards, and Garrett Wilson under 51.5 receiving yards. Wilson finished with 50, so by the hair of his chin, turned $10.
Now, why was Cooper voided on that ticket?
Because he didn't play.
He didn't play.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
So had Cooper played and those hit, that 10 could have been even more.
Good for
but
him.
Still good for Matt.
That's interesting.
$10
so if a
into
guy doesn't play,
$700.
it's voided. I never knew that. I figured you just lost the bet because it didn't get the.
No.
If he gets hurt during the game, you're screwed.
It's like in the old days before they were giving half points for everything,
Right.
and the game was tied. It was just a push.
Yeah.
You know, you got your money
That's
back.
interesting.
Take it out.
I
let's
got
get
a
to our
question
first
for you, Mikey,
shoot.
before we dive in. Rate your 5-piece of stats, the McNuggets 5-piece of stats. Is it good this week? Is it great?
No, it's not the greatest one, I'll be honest, because
Good
I
teams.
didn't know who was playing. So this was more
teams.
big picture, overall Brown stuff as we get ready.
Mike, it's okay to fib and say it's unbelievable. We want viewers to stick around.
One thing I don't do is I don't lie.
All right,
I'll be honest with the people.
we appreciate your honesty.
There's
but
some
let me just tell you
interesting stuff in
something.
there.
I think it's going to be awesome because it always is.
It's good stuff. It's just not the greatest.
And one other thing, Mike was saying all week, and I've repeated this to many people. In fact, I told Jimmy Donovan, I'm going to have to tell him when I see him later that I/McNuggets was wrong.
Yeah.
I've been telling everybody, McNuggets has been researching this. He says he's gone back till the point that they started keeping records that no NFL team has ever won 5 games with 5 different quarterbacks in the same season. And this morning on the call, he tells us, "Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I got that.
happen once.
It has happened before. It's happened.
It has happened.
Season,
There's an asterisk.
There is an asterisk.
That should have been the first place you checked the strike season because that's all where all the anomalies are, right?
You're
They
right.
didn't even play a full season, which may even make it more impressive. But the 1987 Patriots did technically have 5 quarterbacks that win a game. It was Doug Flutie, Bob Byler, Tony Eason, Tom Ramsey, and Steve Grogan all won games
I have
that
not
season.
heard. Who was the second guy? I never heard of that guy.
He was
Bob
probably-
Byler, who was the replacement
I was going to say he was probably the
who
replacement
played
quarterback.
one game, played against guys who never played again.
Yeah.
He played against NFL players who were
And that was in
replacement players in
14
the strike.
games, right?
They played 15 that season. They were 8
I
and
remember
7.
that strike. That was nutty.
Yeah,
A
it
bunch of
was
dudes
crazy.
out there
It was
that-
so weird. Did
It
you ever see the
was.
movie The Replacements? Have you guys seen?
No,
seen that?
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
Hasn't
that's a
seen
Gene
that?
Hackman movie.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman and
Was
Keanu Reeves.
it based on that season or no?
No, but it was based on. There were a bunch of replacement, on a strike.
Yeah,
It
no,
was-
I didn't see that.
What movie
Funny
was it
movie.
where the quarterback kept throwing up in his helmet with Jamie Foxx?
Any
Any
given
Given Sunday.
Sunday.
David Sunday.
Yeah.
That was a good one,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, they could tie history, but it wouldn't technically be the first time. Even though
yes,
it'd be the first
I mean,
time
still make
against
history.
non-replacement players it would ever happen. So there is still something on the line here, but
Sure.
you are right, and my bad. I did find it though.
That's
So
okay.
before
No,
we
I
got
wanted to
there,
clear
I
that
did
up because
find
we've
it.
been saying on the air this week a number of times that he's trying to do something that hasn't been done before. And we're going to talk about, we're still going to rate that accomplishment, even though it has been done. We'll rate that accomplishment in the pantheon of all these great sports records that we so often like to talk about. We're starting with backups because that's the story for this week.
Yeah.
Which of the backups are you guys most excited to see?
For me, it's Pierre Strong because I've been championing for him to play for most of the season. Now, credit to Jerome Ford, as I've been down on him all year. I thought he played his best game last week. I thought he showed great patience. I thought he showed the best vision he's seen all year. I don't know what happened. Hopefully that will continue. But the numbers don't look eye-popping, but I thought he played really well and had some excellent runs.
That's all they need. That's all they need.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It is eye-popping because of the receiving
5 yards a carry on the rushes, but the receiving yards and the touchdowns.
Right, that was a great play by him. He did a lot of work on that play.
Tremendous play.
But every time I've seen Pierre Strong play, I feel like there's a little juice there that they haven't used for whatever reason. Now, I trust Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, there's a reason they haven't used him. But the guy, when he got a chance in New England was pretty effective. And at 4.6 yards per carry in limited carries is pretty impressive behind an offensive line that's been not that good against, in terms of the run. So he's the guy I'd like to see. I think the Browns are going to run the ball a ton in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran for 100 yards this week.
Wow, nice. Jay?
Well, the guy I'm most interested to see is Jeff Driskel. How about that, Cole?
You stole my thunder.
Yeah, because so there's two schools of thought here on why you start Driskel. Either you're trying to protect P.J. Walker because you want to go in to the playoffs fully healthy at the quarterback position.
Whoever thought you'd say that? You're starting someone other than PJ because you want to make sure he's healthy. But you're right. You're right, though.
Or
I know you want to see what he can do.
Or you want to see what Driskel can do because he might be your backup quarterback if Flacco were to go down. And no one wants to talk about it, but the backup's one play away. You're one snap away, and you have to have somebody back there you can trust. And I don't think Kevin Stefanski trusts P.J. Walker because he is a turnover machine. Every time he touches the ball, he turns it over. So if Driskel shows something Sunday and he's halfway decent, it wouldn't shock me at all if PJ's deactivated and Driskel is the backup to Joe Flacco in the playoffs. I think that's why he's out there on Sunday. So yeah, this matters. This matters a lot. You may not think it does, but I think it does. And the numbers are not great, when you look at the record. But the touchdown interceptions,
the numbers don't match up for either guy.
Yeah, I know.
They're really odd.
So, they did cut PJ. They did release him. And then they brought him back on practice squad when, shocking, he went unclaimed. So I don't think that there's this great love affair. And I don't think PJ's entrenched as the backup. So if Driskel falls flat on his face and he's a disaster and he turns it over 3 times, they'll probably roll with Flacco and PJ to the playoffs. And hopefully it doesn't matter. Hopefully Joe stays healthy and it's a moot point, but you got to have somebody back there you can trust. So I think absolutely this matters because Jeff Driskel could be your backup quarterback going to the playoffs.
I think Jeff Driskel, when they got him, I think it's even deeper than that. I think they're trying to gather a lot of data. I know they're analytical, but take a look at it. You got you got P.J. Walker, you got some data on him. You got DTR, a little bit of data on him. Now you bring in Jeff Driskel, and you already know what Joe Flacco's been doing. Now the situation is like, okay. Not only are they looking at probably this year, I think they're already starting to look at contingency plans next year. If you were to tell me who's going to be the starting quarterback or the backup quarterback next year, because Deshaun Watson will be starting the season, there could be 3-4 different answers. They'll be battling it out, especially if they want to bring Flacco back. I like your argument. I've been arguing for Pierre Strong for a minute. I think he has more juice with giving the carries. I think you'll see what he can do. He's more of a downhill running back. But for me, I'm going to just spice it up a little bit and go with Cedric Tillman. If you ask me what's the Browns' biggest need going into next year, I would say receiver. I see why they gave up Donovan Peoples-Jones. Bernie talked about it, and he said I could see why the Browns like him, big body guy. But I need to see him finish these routes. He's been pushed out of bounds a little bit. I think he's been caught asking for flags a little bit too much. And 2 or 3 times, it looks like he did not do what he was supposed to do in the route. So for me, you get an opportunity to be the number 1 receiver out here. I want to see what Cedric Tillman has to offer.
All of those are right answers. They're the top 3 in my book. But for me, because it's the vital position, I'm with Jason. It's got to be Jeff Driskel. We don't know what this guy can do. Bull's probably more familiar with him than any of us because he started for the Bengals for
not
a little.
Much, but
you've seen him more than we've seen him. I honest to God, I don't know what the hell to expect from him. He could go out there. It's interesting when you look at his numbers. I don't know how he only won 1 of his 10 starts. Those are numbers that you would think would win games.
Often with a quarterback of that level, which is Jeff Driskel, P.J. Walker, if the defense maybe he's putting up those numbers after they've been blown out already.
There's a lot of variables we don't know, but Flacco's touchdown to interceptions are 13-8.
Right.
And he's 4-1.
Right, but Joe Flacco the last few years, his win-loss record's terrible, and he's been, at times terrible, but at times he's played well and they've lost.
Yeah, I just think that for a sample size that's 10 games,
right,
and you tell me he's only going to turn it over 8 times in those 10 games, but he's going to throw for 14 touchdowns. You think, okay, he'll get lucky in 2 or 3, maybe 4 of those games to win.
I don't know.
I think I don't know. What my expectation is, he's going to surprise us. He's not going to wow us. He's not going to come up to Joe Flacco level. But I think he's going to look like all the quarterbacks in this system at times have looked. Mm-hmm. There were moments where I looked at P.J. Walker, not many, but there were times where I said, wow, didn't expect that from him. DTR at times looked like he was on the path to be the definitive backup quarterback in this system. Yeah. Certainly Deshaun Watson had moments. So I think this system makes it easy for quarterbacks to have moments like that. The key is he needs to have more moments where he looks good than scratch your head moments like P.J. Walker gave us. And if he takes care of the football, there's no reason why the Browns can't win this game.
Yeah, sure. This is a game, neither team really has anything to play for. The Bengals are playing a lot of their starters.
Are they? I was just going to ask you that.
I mean, they're playing. I mean, Jamar Chase is banged up, and he's playing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Browning's been a starter now for half the year. He's playing. So I think most of their guys are going to play. I don't know, T. Higgins is a little banged up, too. I'm not sure what he's doing. But most of their guys are going to play. But you never know what the motivation is. It's not like the Bengals have a chance to spoil something for the Browns. So I don't know what their motivation is going to be. Yeah. It's a weird game. The Bengals are favored by 7.
Feels like an exhibition game, doesn't it?
I mean, it's just a little bit.
The backups are going to be out there, at least for the Browns, and there's nothing at stake.
One other interesting guy on this team that I assume is going to play is Ronnie Hickman. Now,
I would imagine he'd play a lot.
I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Now, Ronnie Hickman has played really, really well the last few weeks. And you wonder, as the Browns now have a lot of good players and they're paying a lot of money on a lot of players, you wonder if the Browns, if they look at Hickman as being a starting caliber player in the NFL, and he's played that way for the last month now, doesn't mean he is, but I don't know how the Browns feel about him. Maybe they think about cutting ties with Delpit or Thornhill. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Sometimes
but you can't pay everybody.
Well, didn't that happen with Harris at center a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
I think they were so impressed with what they saw from him.
Shredder go.
Yeah, and they said, you know what? I think we can part ways with JC because he's played well enough to inherit the starter job.
Right.
Then he obviously got hurt. They had to get close.
I thought also they told JC, you doing too much union around here.
Yeah, that had a lot to do with it, too.
I was going to say, I think that had more to do with it.
But I do think this, though, because I agree with you guys. I think there was a lot of that underneath the surface. But I also think that if Harris, but if Harris wasn't ready, I don't know that they would have pulled trigger on that move.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to sacrifice the strength of your line. Unless you and they probably said, you know what, all things being equal, Harris can do the job, JC's expendable.
Yeah, and so you just, you wonder, that happens, right? The Bengals just did that last year. They let both their safeties go.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they felt like they had to save money in other places to pay Burrow, to pay Chase, whatever.
And Hickman's
now the Browns spend more than the
agent.
Bengals do. But Hickman's making no money. So, we'll see. I'm not saying that's definitely going to let those guys go.
Right.
But he's interesting because, he's played. I think he's played phenomenally
very well. In the preseason, I think he had three interceptions. He's had a couple more, hasn't he, including a pick 6?
I don't know how this guy went undrafted.
I don't either. But credit to the Browns scouting staff for calling this guy in, undrafted out of Ohio State, and he has been a contributor. So, I'm on the defensive side. I think he's the guy I'm most interested to see. Can he keep that play up, Mike?
Little
Who's the
teaser,
Browns
but Hickman
defensive
is
backs coach, by the way, Mike? Do you know? Does anybody know?
I'll look it up in 1 sec. But
because
little
he's been
teaser.
Phenomenal.
Hickman's in the 5 stats that's coming up. Another guy to watch though is Cam Mitchell. And you talk about making decisions. If Cam Mitchell steps in, plays at a level that is up to par with some other guys, they have a lot of guys in secondary that have to get paid.
Yeah.
And not just as safeties, but as cornerbacks. And once again, as both said, you can't pay everybody.
Right.
So
you look to save where you can.
Yeah.
And that might be a couple of guys that will allow them to save money with some of the veterans instead of paying them to stick around.
But don't foreshadow this McNuggets. I agree with that to a certain extent, only if you have the coaching staff to back it up. And I think Jim Schwartz is a very big reason why some of these guys that we see are like, how are they doing it?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Well, they're playing very, very well right now
yeah.
because
We're going to talk about Schwartz's impact on the defense. I think we'll be able to measure it this weekend because you're going to take the Jimmies and the Joes out,
Yep.
and then it will be all about the X's and the O's.
Yeah.
And